I actually started using Gacha prior to me making videos. I think it was around 2019. I used it to help me draw characters and come up with outfits. Come by 2019, I saw that people were using it to make videos. The first ever Gacha video I was a parody of the long lost princess trope by Afmal. And I was like, I want to do that too with my own characters. Okay, so from How to Confess to Your Bro, and I think to the Sacred Air episode 1. The editing software that I used was called Filmora 9, but I stopped using it because I couldn't really do the tweening that I saw in Afmal's video. I was wondering how she was able to move her characters around the screen, and that was what I was missing. The first ever gotcha mini movie and the only mini movie I've ever created was The Sacred Air. It's sort of a passion project for me. It has a beginning and an ending, but I never finished it because it takes a long time to do this, at least for me. It took me such a long time to create this, but I feel like creating a story is different from just posting funny videos on the internet because the funny videos that I post is mostly I made them so I have something to watch. But creating a story, a mini movie, it's for others to watch. And I felt like I wasn't getting enough views, so I stopped doing it. Because why would I create content that's not for me, but nobody else seems to want them? In this video, there's a bit of movement going on with the characters, but like I said, this was still made in Filmora 9. But the way I went about it is that I use a separate video editor in my phone, which allowed me to do the tweening, but it wasn't efficient enough. Though I was able to create this really good fight scene using just the phone, which is really amazing looking back on it now. Okay, so How to Confess Your Bro is the first ever video I made on this channel, and the characters on the screen are my characters from my own writing. I used to write a story involving these characters, and the outfits that they wear here in the first ever video on this channel is the outfit that closely resembles their outfits in the story because it's a fantasy setting and I was trying to like modernize their clothing here in Gacha. This was the closest that I could ever replicate that design in the writing. The direct sequel of How to Confess to Your Bro is Circle Teen, using the same characters again. And such a, like it speaks for itself. This video speaks for itself. I'm not gonna talk about electric. It's such a it's such a complicated video to talk about because this is electricity is the only video in my channel that goes out of canon. By that I mean the story in electricity does not follow the gacha canon that we've been following for the past 2 years now. It's based on my own writing. As Luke is the main character of this story and he is with the canon version of Diane. They're not called Luke and Diane in the story. Even though I call Luke in the description. I just did that so to make it clear like who is the person in the video itself. Bad Apple is Bad Apple is the it really changed this channel. Bad Apple is one of those things that I've looked at like way back years before that I always would thought that what would happen if I was able to parody this bad apple using my own characters. But I just didn't have a way to do it at the time. and creating this channel and getting into Gacha, I realized that I have an opportunity to finally do that at least. The characters in this video does not follow the canon. It still follows the writing in the novel. So that's why you never get to see any of them again. Though Nines and Leslie do exist here, but they're following a different story than the story that we're following now. Bad Apple gave me a lot of views. I still don't understand how this popped off. I think it's because it's Toho is just like really big and popular, and a lot of people have already parodied it. But Neb said that it's my most controversial video ever because it has a lot of hate comments on it. I think it's but the fact that Toho is such a big community and most of the people in that community are adults and doing this in Gacha and Gacha is known for being a kid community. So I thought that maybe people saw it as, oh look, kids are ruining Toho. They finally got to that one good game slash anime that we all know and love and they ruined it. Sailor Fuku Sailor Fuku is really like one of the hardest videos that I've ever worked on, like in this entire channel. The very first video that I tried using twinning, and it's such a monumental project that it involves a lot of characters. This is also the first time that I tried doing the famous rotoscoping technique that I use a lot now. Well, we'll get more onto that later. Basically, I just copied the dance side by side with the original video itself. So I was animating this while having the original video at the side so I can reference it one by one. I think the final product is really great. The twinning isn't all that good, not as good as the twinning that I have now, but for what it's worth, this was 2 years ago and this was the first time that I tried twinning and it looks great. Ikanaide is one my top two favorite video that I've ever made. It doesn't have twinning. The only twinning in the video that you see is the little bit at the end. But the reason why this is my most favorite video ever is because of the story. I keep I'm gonna die on this hill. You don't need to twin. You don't need to do all that rigging and twinning. So long as you have a good story and you know how to edit them. So this is the video that I started taking the video editing process a bit more seriously because I realized that if you frame certain things in a certain way, it can really affect the kind of emotion that you give to the viewer. So what I did here was I desaturate the entire video to give that feeling of that fading feeling, that like the melancholy, the sadness of it, of two people who grew up together and were inseparable for most of their lives, parting ways because of basically just the fault of growing up. Left Brain and Right Brain is the direct sequel to the Sailor Fuku. I started using twinning here again. I figured that I had something good going on in Sailor Fuku, and I wanted to see if I can push myself just a little bit again, and also push my computer to the breaking point, because Sailor Fuku took a toll on my computer. But I decided that, you know what? Maybe we can push the envelope a little more. Left Brain and Right Brain is special in terms of what it did to my channel. This is the first video that I made that I didn't have a reference to go off of. I storyboarded the entire thing from start to finish, all by myself. I only knew the song from the animatics a lot of people made. Actually, the reason why the background in this video is white is me giving a tribute to all those animatics that came before me. Like, I could have put a background here, but I decided not to because I wanted to pay tribute to all the animatics that came before me. I think it turned out quite Okay. It also has some of the emotion that I got off from Ikanaite, but not as quite as strong. It's meant to be a little tongue-in-cheek comedy also. And here I started using a bit of green screen, just taking full advantage of what green screen can do in terms of adding effects and images. This was a pain to animate though, because at this point I didn't know how to use sequence in Premiere Pro. Sequence is basically creating an entirely new resolution of a video inside the project itself. At the moment, all my characters have their own sequence that I just put together in a 1080p frame. But here, the only canvas I could work on is 1080p. So everything that you see is what I can see also in the editor. If you can see his feet, I also can see his feet in the editor. So that was really, really, really painful, especially when doing transitions from off screen to on screen. Really, the craftsmanship here really shines in that way because I really tried to hide my limitations at the time. Also, this is the first time that I tried having two characters interact on the screen. I use that technique a lot now, more frequently, and it's almost too easy now. But at the time, this was like the biggest challenge in the entire video. How do I make two characters interact? I didn't know how to make the models interact without the other obscuring them, basically. So you need to integrate only one layer that can interact with another layer of the character. The next video after left brain and right brain is reacting to my hate comment. There's not a lot of things to talk about there other than that's where I decided on the designs for the rest of the cast. Joji, okay, so we've talked about how Sailor Fuku had an impact on my channel, as well as left brain and right brain. Walking is so monumental for the channel. It was the first video that I storyboarded, that I wrote the story for, and it's also the first video where I realized that it's okay for me to explore these characters and share their stories because I was always afraid of putting out so much and people not receiving them well. At this point, my tweening has gotten significantly better, and I learned to use sequences now. So you see, the characters aren't blurry from me trying to maximize them on the frame. So what I do, I just have a 6000 resolution video in my Premiere Pro. That's where I animate my models and I put them together in a 1080p frame. As you can see, I also started experimenting a bit with lighting here. Lighting, shadows, blurs, everything. And I think it turned out pretty good. The next feature to that is unadulterated degeneracy. I've always thought that Nines is the best character in my entire channel. Just the 3 seconds of this illustrates why he's the best character in my channel. I'm gay! I love this entire video. I had a lot of fun making it. There's just something so funny about Leslie watching Pokemon in his living room in the dark in front of the TV while shaking the TV. Like you can screenshot this out of context. It will be hilarious. And I like to think that Tommy losing that ice cream is his punishment for him meddling with Nines and Leslie in walking. That's his punishment why he doesn't get the ice cream. After that, we have Catch. Catch is one of the lesser known videos on this channel. I don't see a lot of people going back to this video and talking about it, but really it's the video. It's the video that shaped my channel into what it is now. And what makes it so special is that this is the first time ever I heavily use rotoscoping and referencing. We used rotoscoping in the Sailor Fuku video, but this is the first time we applied that to such an extent that we used the footage from the actual live skit to create the movements that you see on the screen. It's not as good as the animation that I have now because I didn't know how to make it a lot smoother. And the facial expressions aren't really that expressive because I wanted to study how to make more realistic animation. And I thought the best way of doing that is to just learn how people move in general and see how that can be translated into animation. After that, we finally get Dear You. I think I took a short break to work on this. This is the first backstory I revealed on the channel, and it's such a really sad story. I don't know if a lot of people understood what the story was because it's purposely vague. The story behind this is a lot darker and it's a lot longer. This is just a fairy tale summary of that story. It's not focused on telling you what exactly is the story between these two characters, just the fairy tale around them. After that, I get Bad Little Boy and Hot Kool-Aid. Hot Kool-Aid is Neb mentioned that this is her favorite ever video for me because it's just a compilation of my crackhead ideas at 3 a.m. Also, this is the first video in the format that I currently have right now where the character is so detailed, apply a lot more layers into the animation. Basically, you finally get hair movement and a little bit of clothing movement. The twinning here is also really good. Like the best shot in this entire thing is Lions just throwing a tantrum in the classroom and and casually pushing him down. And that was not rotoscope. That was just me being really on point with my animation. It just became very instinctive with me to animate these characters without using a reference. Although the part where Leslie drags Nines, I used a bit of reference, but not with a visual. I just did the motion in front of a mirror and I did it 10 times until I was finally able to capture that movement. Just a little side note for people who like to animate their characters, because my main problem with most animators is just they don't emphasize enough on the weight and the physics the characters are capable of. It always bothers me the how weightless their characters look like. Like most people's poses look like models they just drag and drop onto the screen. Like if you want your character to feel real, give them weight and physics. Also, don't be shy in making them interact with each other. Don't just have them stand next to each other. It grates on me. It doesn't feel authentic. So it's not just how you animate them, it's also how you present them. That also constitute to how real they are. The direct sequel to Hot Kool-Aid is the script. The animation here is not too different from Hot Kool-Aid. It's just I created this because I wanted to practice more on the multi-layered animation style that I just recently discovered in Hot Kool-Aid, and it really flows well. They both have really unhinged plots. Priscilla is just like a gender version of Nines. They're both really unhinged characters, and I wish I can use a Priscilla more in more videos because she's just a really good character also. That the reason why I haven't used Priscilla in any of the other female characters like Diane and Sunghee, Rogi's girlfriend, is because it's hard to find really good skits involving female characters, and I'm kind of thankful that most of my characters are male because of that. So I can keep on doing skits without thinking too much if it's gonna fit with the characters. Neko.exe is my most favorite. Not gonna lie, this is my favorite top one video that I've made just because of Tommy. Tommy is my favorite character. I'm so sorry, Lines. He is my favorite character in the entire Gacha channel just because of his cute little face. The way he and the cat have a staring contest is just the funniest thing to me. They look so brain dead, and it's intentional.
How are you? Fine, thank you.
After that, we get sibling dance. Neb shared this idea to me while we were chatting in the Gacha server in Discord, and it's since been my top viewed video in my channel. I'm not really sure how it exploded because I feel like I didn't put a lot of effort in it compared to my other videos. I feel like I was just going through the motion of the same twinning and same basic animation that I've been doing for a few months now. Like nothing new was added to the table. Because my videos, I feel like they're special when they add something new to the table. Either me discovering new techniques or trying out new techniques. Because I don't ever just create practice videos. So for me to get better, I just do videos. Lie detector test. This is the spiritual sequel to the catch skit because it also uses the same rotoscoping technique, the side by side animation technique as the catch skit. The main difference here is I wasn't focusing so much on the movements, but more so the facial expressions of the characters. Even the title lie detector itself meant I knew going into this it's going to be a challenge. Animating the characters in a way that they're expressing more than one emotion while they're on the frame. And Nine's character really shined in this video. Part of the reason why I love why he is the best character in my channel, just because of how expressive he is. He can go from cute to happy to annoyed to sus real fast in like 4 seconds. I think it has something to do with his eyes. And that's kind of my gripe with people when designing their characters. I feel like most people just pick eyes that are easy to animate. Yeah, they're easy to animate, but what you sacrifice by doing that is that small punch to the design of the character that would amplify their personality. In my character Luke, he is not Luke without those eyes. He is not that cold-blooded violent person, sass person without those eyes. If I change those eyes, he won't be Luke. And I love this skit because it fits their characters so well. The ending is really wholesome. It's such a genuine Nines and Leslie moment. Also, that scene, we're gonna get to that scene later. Red Dress is for the record, I would just like to say that red dress is not my idea. It's Neb's idea. It's my friend Neb's idea. She made me a hostage to make this. 100% Neb and just 0% me. This whole video. How to disappoint your parents in 3 seconds. I was doing a preview of this in the Gacha server I was in. Most people thought Leslie is a girl and thought he was really beautiful and sus at the same time. But I said like no, that's a guy, and I you can just hear all the disappointments in everyone in the channel. Catch a Clip Part 1 and Catch a Clip Part 2. This is just an outlet for me to expand a little on the characters in my channel. Although the downside of doing these two videos is that only my subs know what I'm talking about. You're not meant to get into it if you don't know who these characters are. So this is just like an additional information for my subs regarding the characters. I have to say though, Tommy and Nines is just like the unexpected second best combo in this channel because they're both so cute and adorable when they're in the single frame. Am I going to talk about Tommy, right? What is Tommy? Why does he is almost as tall as Nines, but he acts like a baby? Maybe in the future I'll do another one of these vids. Can comment below if you want me to create a video someday. Just me explaining my characters to you guys. There's a lot of information I haven't even touched on in this whole thing. So after months of refining my skills in animation and through all the hardships and everything that we've been through IRL and with this YouTube thing, we finally get to the best animated video in my entire channel. The normal response to the normal response to fanboys is like the sequel to the script skit. So this makes it the Unhinged trilogy. And even though it's like one of the shortest videos that I've ever put out on this channel, this took such an effort to make because there's so many individual shots in this skit. It's really insane. Like, you know what? I'm gonna count them all right now.
Mining away. I don't know what to mine. I'll mine this anyway. In this Minecraft day, so beautiful. Further down, what's that I found? Mine diamonds.
What? 38 shots. Is it actually 38 shots? What the what is wrong with me? I didn't include the shots where it was just a simple screenshot without a model, but 38 shots is still insane. It's only a 1 minute and 20 something seconds visual. And the most unhinged part about this is everyone knows that I don't use rigging for my models. So every time there is a unique shot, I need to manually arrange the character model layers for the characters again. And it's so unhinged that there are so many shots here where there's more than one character on screen. So if you can multiply the 38 shots to the amount of characters there are on screen. So that's how many times that oh my god. Just never ever underestimate a sim's ability to over exaggerate everything. Then we finally get to the telepathia meme. This telepathia meme, okay, Leslie's backstory is not that complicated. He's one of those characters in my canon that has a very simple backstory. That's why he's easier for me to present it and explain it, even in a non-lore video. I just made this as an art project, and also I was thinking of revamping some character designs. Coincidentally, I just thought of also using it to explain a little bit about Leslie's backstory because sometimes I feel like I confuse my viewers with what's happening on the screen. Leslie has appeared with white hair at least 3 times now in my channel, and I never explain what that is really.
Is this what you want? Come on, strike me down, Zeus. You don't have the ball.
Finally, we get to Unscharf. It's a German word. It means hazy. I don't remember how I discovered this song. I think I was browsing in YouTube for AMVs, but I used to listen to it a lot. I recently just remembered it again, and I knew it's the perfect song for someday using in Nine's story, creating this. Well, ContraPoints once said,
There's a lot to unpack here.
it's hard for me to explain this video, but my friend Nep knows all about it, and she's gonna help me explain Nine's backstory to you guys. Nep, please help me.
Today's video on Shaft covers the story of S9, or better known as Nine. As welcoming as it looks, the first few seconds actually start with a portrait of a deceased child. That child being Lara and Han's son, who are later seen in the video. Every clone you see in the video is made after this child, which isn't really hard to figure out given the fact most of them look alike. However, there are quite a few differences between them, and the easiest one to point out, at least for the researchers and overall health, would be how complete their soul is. Hence the fact 5S4's health deteriorated faster than anyone else. After 9's and 7's almost successful escape, witnessing the horrors that is going on with their brothers, Laura's almost laughable attempt at stopping them, the final call of the decision was made. The decision was keeping one person, merging every soul to make the perfect soul. Perfect soul for a literal war machine. Now to make that happen, a complete soul isn't the only requirement. The will to kill and to damage others is the most important part of becoming a murderer. And that will be perfectly shown by Nines bluntly attacking Laura, which is why they chose him instead of Seven, whose soul was more near perfect. After that, we can basically say the confusing part of the video is over, and it's the story of someone who has zero control over their actions, of what they want to be, where they want to be, who they want to be with, and so on. The only thing we know for certain is that they don't want to remember any of the faces that had a hand in taking all those freedoms away. At the end of the video, Nine is left with nothing but the token of the past, childhood, innocence, family, happiness, things that he lost and seem unreachable. As a void of pure nothingness and bitterness slowly surrounds him in this world, he decides to put an end to his miserable life. What was shown in the very last seconds of the video, he was greeted to a new person, a new life, a new family, a new chance of finally blooming as a flower he was meant to be, and not the bitter fruit they intended him to be. Okay, pause again.
Thank you so much, Neb, for doing the homework for me. I have to give her some credit for figuring out the S4 scene. I only told her about what the meaning of the percentage is, but I didn't think she'd actually piece out that the reason why S4 was the first one to go is because he had the worst percentage in the chart in that one frame in the video. So props to her for that. Also, she mentioned something about the final call to do the merge. It was like a last minute decision when it comes to choosing who is going to be like the base for all the nine souls. But it was always been the plan all along to merge the souls because the entire project was already deemed a failure because they failed to produce a single non-defective model. So the plan was to just try and merge the rest of the souls and see that if it could yield a complete soul. And it was always meant to be a Sven who undergoes this process. They only changed their minds when they saw Nines fit the character profile which they needed. About Laura and Hans, yes, they were the biological parents of the boy which Nines was based off of. So Hans has a bit of sympathy for Nines and the other children because of this. However, Laura just do not give a crap about it. And it was him who, in the final scene, Nines feels something in his coat and it was a piece of the music box, which is like a small gear with a bullet on it, and that's what saved him. And it was Hans who put that in his coat during their final confrontation, because Laura wanted to erase Nine's memories because they reported that he was maladjusting. And he wasn't really maladjusting so much that no one treated him like a proper human being, that there was a scene where he was given a room on his own and he just pulled the blanket off the bed and slept under the bed because he has no idea what a bed is. He has never seen one before. So he just did what he always did, sleep on the floor with a blanket, and that was the main problem, not that he was maladjusting. So Hans attempted to remove his memories but failed. And so instead of taking away those memories, he decided to instead give them back to Nines. The small gear was like a symbol of his memories, his childhood, and all that they took away from him. So not Hans was giving them back to Nines. One final note that yes, Nines did get his name from his brothers. They gave each others and themselves names, and it was specifically Sven who gave Nines his name from that one scene. Out of all the brothers, Nines was especially close to Sven. And he's like, and you can see why he is really, really close with Leslie because of this, because Sven and Leslie share some similarities in terms of their age and their long hair. But now also that Nines and his brothers sort of parallel the adoptive family he has with the Sakurai clan. He has 9 older brothers who are all clones of his, and then he has 6 older sisters and one brother who is the seventh child in the family in from the Sakurai clan. And yes, there are only 7 children in the Sakurai family, and you can say that that doesn't fit at all. Then that would make Nine's the 8th child in the family. But if you consider that the demon Leslie is his unofficial 8th brother, then yeah, it fits. Or is it actually the 7th brother and Leslie is the 8th? I'll let you guys decide which is which. Thank you so much for watching this. I know this isn't my usual content. I never do voiceover contents ever, but I wanted to do something special for the channel for this new year. And this was a really nice opportunity for me to examine all the content I've made throughout the years, just seeing how far we've come from how to confess to your bro to doing this stuff. It's like it's just been nothing short but amazing, really. After this, I plan to do a few more catchy clips, and but I have my eyes currently on an idea of another story of, and it's going to be GCMV this time. I know that most of my viewers don't really like me drawing art, and they only want the gacha content, so you can be really excited for that. This time I'm going to do a story of with gacha, my usual gacha animations. You can comment below on if you have any suggestions for me of what kind of videos you expect me to create here. I think I can do a few tutorials. Like if you enjoyed some of my rants here, I can probably do a few more tutorials regarding animation, but I don't think I'm really good at it. I know like the standard in the gacha community is Life 2D, and I'm the only freak who still uses layered animation like from the Kind Master and Cute Cut. But it's my style, and I'm quite thankful that it's my style and no one wants to copy my style, so I can call it a catchy style animation. I don't have anything else to say. I wish you all a very, very happy new year. You and your family and your friends. And hope to see you guys again in the future. Bye bye.